One of the more interesting aspects of our Constitution is the way we elect our presidents here in the United States. The Constitution establishes a system of election called the Electoral College, in which each state is given a number of electors in the presidential election that would be equal to the number of members of the House of Representatives and the number of senators that they have. Now, as you know, the House of Representatives states have more or less representatives in Congress based on their population. While in the Senate, each state has two. So a very small state might have two senators and only one representative, which would mean they would have three uh, total members of Congress, and therefore they would have three electors in the Electoral College. A large state uh, might have 50 or 60 members of the House of Representatives and two senators. So if a large state had 55 members in the House and two senators, they would get 57 electors. And the process of electing a president, essentially, when the Electoral College meets, in order to be elected in the Electoral College, a president must get a majority of those total electors. And the way electors are actually assigned to a presidential candidate is not particularly addressed in the Constitution. States have the liberty to do that as they wish. Today, states hold primaries and choose a candidate Republican Party holds primaries, Democratic Party holds primaries, normally in the springtime, to choose a candidate from each party. And in the fall, when the election is actually held, the general election, if a candidate wins the state of Pennsylvania's popular vote, then they would win all of the electors from the state of Pennsylvania. Now, as a result of this interesting system that the founding fathers established, sometimes, as you could imagine, if there are more than two viable candidates, sometimes we have a situation in which only no one can get a majority of electors. And so, what happens in that case where neither candidate gets a majority in the Electoral College? Well, in that case, the election goes to the House of Representatives, and the members of the House of Representatives, the most democratic body in our national government, because they're members of the House are elected every 2 years by the people of their districts. Those people get to choose the president, and they don't have any real guidelines concerning that. They get to meet and kind of negotiate with each other and look at the election results, and then they get to choose the president. And so, for a variety of reasons, someone could get a majority of electors because of the way electors are actually allocated, and not win the popular vote but win in the Electoral College. And the other issue is you could win the popular vote, have the most votes of any candidate, but if you don't win the Electoral College, and no one wins the Electoral College, no one gets a majority of electors, then the election would go into the House of Representatives, and the House could pick a candidate that had fewer popular votes or fewer electors, as in the 1824 election when John Quincy Adams was chosen over Andrew Jackson, who had a larger number of popular votes. And so the Founding Fathers did not establish a system in which the person who received the most popular votes will become the President of the United States. And there are a couple reasons why they did that. First of all, they were concerned that a popular election would favor states with larger populations. You could imagine if it was all about just getting the most votes and there was no electoral college, where would candidates spend most of their time preparing for the general election? Well, they would be in New York and California and Texas. They would be in the biggest states where the most people were. In our system today, our candidates end up spending a lot of time in places like Iowa and New Hampshire, sometimes a place like West Virginia or New Mexico, with very small populations actually can become the focal point of a presidential election because of the need for those electors in order to get a majority of electors. So that was one thing they were concerned about, that the large states or the largest populations would be kind of the exclusive area from which presidents would be chosen. And then, secondly, they were concerned that people would vote according to sections where they lived in the country. So they were concerned that everyone in the South, maybe, might vote for a candidate from the South, and everyone in the North would vote for someone from the North, particular regions. And the reality of the Electoral College is it doesn't matter if everyone from South Carolina votes for a president from the South. The bottom line is if you win South Carolina by one vote, you get the electors. If you win South Carolina by a margin of 99% to 1%, you still get the same number of electors. So the Electoral College kind of takes away that incentive for everyone in a state to vote a particular way to swing an election. So, really important things here. To understand that the founding fathers knew when they created the Electoral College that they were creating a system in which there would be times in which someone who received fewer votes, popular votes, would actually end up to become our president. So it's not simply an attempt to get the will of the people or the majority of the people's consent, although often it does work out to be the majority of the people. They had other things that they viewed as more important, and particularly not giving too much power to large states and not creating a sectional political system in which people voted according to sectional interest rather than national interest.